deep in during church.
abasoze badiphe in vele. So it's fine. I-audio is settled whether what i-audio izongena because ihamba and then izawusiya injalo whether I am we are this side or uThabo A. But uThabo is supposed to be the one makuthetha befundisa aye bafundise. Ndithi ndizame uyobeka le nto sekuthe seyifikile ikhofi ingena nini. Coffee. Coffee. Oh. Slap.
Yes, okay, sure.
I understand that. Listen to music. Then, are we agreeing now? Yes. Meeting, then just come out and read. Okay, but it will be alright. I'll know exactly where to go. Oh, have you not asked to do that? Yeah. Where's whose father is this? I don't know. Just put his okay, I'm just putting it. What is the reading? It's on Revelations 21. Alright. I wonder if I should use the big. The people on I don't know because all the speakers are going to read from. I'm going to give it to her. I'll talk to you about it. Here we go. I think you keep this with you. There's Revelation 21 and from 1 to 7. There. So keep that with you, bring it up with you. Okay. Get it right, but you don't need it here. Okay, don't worry. Oh, don't worry. Just say the reading from Revelation. Just read it. Oh, alright, don't worry. Yeah. Alright. Okay, great. let's put the light on. give a formal welcome to you, but just to say that you have a program and because we have a hymn sheet, the last hymn is going to be different from what it is on the sheet, and the choir will lead us in that. The service of the Eucharist will come from the Anglican prayer book. It's the blue prayer book in the pew, and you will be led through that. We will lead you through the prayer book as so you will know which page we're on. All the responses today will be said in English. The only thing we will sing will be the hymns and the Lord's Prayer. If anyone needs the bathroom, they are to my right up the stairs here. Thank you. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and I am the life. He who believes in me, though he die, yet shall he live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. We read in the book of Job, I know that my Redeemer lives, and that in the end he will stand upon the earth. I myself will see him with my own eyes, I and not another. And then in Romans, Paul tells us, I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor powers, nor things present, nor things to come, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. And then from John's Gospel, in my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you, I am going there to prepare a place for you.
hope. Help us to live as those who believe in the communion of the saints, the forgiveness of sins, and the resurrection to
is from the Planman family.
in the US in the time of struggle, there might be as many Nkomos in that history as there are Dlaminis in Gangwane. But they are also blessed in that education and in that talent with having one mafioso in the family. There is a bully in the family, and he goes by the name of Professor SABC Nkomo. I was asked to come and say a few words, and I tried to resist. SABC said, "Oh, you, Temba, were so trying to sweet talk me, so important." In the struggle against apartheid, in organizing a lot of us who were working in that struggle in the US. But I remembered my mother's words, who I hadn't seen for almost 20 years at the time when I spoke to her. She had seen me somewhere on television on the occasion of Nelson Mandela's first visit to the United States. And my mother said, mntanami, when I talked to her on the phone, mntanami, abekho yini abantu abadala lapho. I felt the same way, really. My trepidations about coming to speak here was essentially the same thing, that baningi abantu abadala la ekhaya who are worthy of talking in front of, I'm sure, would have been a very important audience of South Africans. Here it is, I'm speaking in front of our former president. I don't think I've done that at all. Yeah, I think I spoke perhaps at some time when presidency was very far from all of us. But in reality, my trepidation was really in recognition of my own shortcomings. Sbusiso said, "Oh, you were with Bra Aubrey for such a long time." Yes, I was with Bra Aubrey for a very long time, but that was a long time ago. And one of the problems I have is a poor memory. So in coming here, on the basis that I spent quite a good part of my life with Bra Aubrey, with the hope that I have a lot of anecdotes that I remember, is really foolhardy. I don't have a good memory. So my wife, my friends who were with in the US came to my assistance to give me all these stories of our life with Bra Aubrey. However, I sort of felt that I would be a fraud coming in front of you and telling you all these stories that have been resurrected in my head, whose details are no longer clear in my head. And I thought, okay, that would be hearsay evidence. And as if this is a court of law, I dismiss that. It is not genuine, and I would not have felt honest in relating to you stories that may be true, but whose details I, however, have a very shallow remembrance of. So I decided, no, the details, there are other people here, there are other people in the memorial, there's a whole lot of stuff written in the obituary that will deal with the details. The best I can do, what I do remember, perhaps is to just focus on the principles that made us devote our lives to the work that we did with Bra Aubrey. Bra Aubrey was not only educated, but Bra Aubrey had an excellent memory. And Bra Aubrey could write. In fact, when one of our friends, Professor Nteta, collapsed and died here in South Africa, we had a memorial service for him. I felt as if Bra Aubrey wrote a biography. And so it is that inadequacy in me that was trying to make me reject the honor of speaking in this service for Bra Aubrey. So what are those principles that at least I can remember that are ingrained in me? It is principles that I'm sure are part and parcel of all of us in here. Whatever our religion, whatever our faith or lack thereof, principles of justice, principles of fairness, principles of democracy are what really motivated us to work long and hard for an outcome that I think we have achieved, even though at times it might seem to escape us here at home. It is those principles that drove our dedication. It was those principles that in fact encouraged Bra Aubrey to work tirelessly in a foreign land for justice, for fairness, for equality, for democracy. We did this in a foreign land. We did this away from our own constituency. That tended to break down the nationalism that we might have felt if we were doing this purely in a homogeneous, small enclave. We got support from natural constituencies such as the African Americans in the US. But it was soon clear that what we were fighting for in South Africa was not different than what other people in other lands, in the Middle East, in South America, in the United States itself, were also fighting for. This was justice, this was fairness, this was democracy, this was a fight against racism, this was a fight against tribalism, this was a fight against any sort of ethnic isolation, and this is what pushed us. I'm not a believer in eternal life, but I do have something that estimates that. I think perhaps to say that in a church is appropriate, because if there's one thing that might be required here is honesty from everybody. But I do have something that estimates what might be an extension of any individual life. Bra Aubrey is gone. There are values that he fought for all his life. I can't think of anything more honorable in recognition of this life than, in fact, to continue to try to get those values honored in our families, in our communities, in our nation, and globally. This is something that we can do. That is the best estimation in my thinking towards eternity that honors the work of Bra Aubrey. So if we do that, we will see life really as a relay race. We take that baton from Bra Aubrey and we keep on running with it. It is required every day in every sector of our lives. Sis Barbara, you have lost, we have lost. The Nkomos, you have lost, we have lost also. But this is not the end of the race. We take the baton and continue the work that Bra Aubrey struggled for and dedicated his life to. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chamber. The next speaker is Dr. Isop Pahat.
To Sis Barbara, the Nkomo clan, President Thabo Mbeki, Comrade Thabo, President Thabo Mbeki, Comrade Zanele Mbeki, to all the colleagues, friends and comrades of Aubrey Nkomo, all protocol observed. There are going to be many stories and anecdotes told about Comrade Aubrey today. But I'm going to concentrate what for me was one of his very special characteristics. So I'm going to start with an anecdote which involves President Mbeki. So I don't know if he remembers. But in 1965, we were both students too. And we were engaged in discussions about the formation of a broad South African students' organization, about an ANC youth and students section, and how and what should we do, not only to build an anti-apartheid movement, but to get the ANC to be recognized as the most powerful liberation movement in our struggle. So he said to me one day, let's go and see Aubrey Nkomo. I hadn't met Aubrey at that time. So, who? Aubrey Nkomo. No, he lives in Notting Hill Gate. And actually, if we go to him, we'll discuss with him. He's going to help us. He's going to help us understand these things. And he'll give us some beers. He's going to give us some beers. Let's go, Chief. Now, I had not been to Notting Hill Gate before. So off we went, arrived in Notting Hill Gate, went into Aubrey's flat. And Aubrey gave me, hadn't met me, he knew Thabo very well, a warm hug and an even warmer smile. Now Aubrey and I are both tall, but I was tall and thin. Aubrey was a bit more rounded than I was, so he could hug me better. So we had these discussions with Aubrey, who, as you know, was already involved in this work, given who he was working for in London. And I think he helped us to better understand what we needed to do in terms of the objectives we were setting ourselves whilst we were in exile. And Aubrey was full of wisdom, full of understanding, full of passion. And I must say, he gave us our peers. When we left Aubrey's place, Comrade Thabo turned to me and said, "And now, what do you think about Aubrey?" So I said, "Chief, he is so dignified. And I thought Comrade Thabo was a bit miffed because he thought I was going to talk about how Aubrey was such an intellectual, how he understood politics, how he was for so long in the ANC. But for me, and it's been with me now for all my life, ever since I met him in 1965, is how dignified Aubrey was. And even much later, when I then met him in the United States, when he was working for the United Nations, Aubrey was always dignified in everything he did. And even post-94, when he was walking with his walking stick, well, that time he was even a bit bigger and beard. But if Aubrey was walking in a room, people looked even if they didn't know him, because he had such a dignified way about him, in the way he walked, in the way he talked, in the way he interacted with people. So for me, an everlasting impression of Aubrey is the dignified manner in which he always conducted himself. So when we celebrate, and that's what we should do, we should celebrate the life and times of a political activist, an intellectual and leader. He never wavered in his support for his organization, the African National Congress, which, as you see from the obituary, he joined when he was 14 in 1950. Today there is also a memorial meeting for another stalwart of our movement, Ahmed Katrada, at 2 o'clock, and that's why I apologize to the family that I have to leave earlier. So for me, Comrade Kathy was a mentor, a guide, an eldest brother. But what strikes me about both of them is that both of them were great patriots and also great internationalists. And so when we celebrate the lives of these two great patriots, great internationalists, a legacy that I think of both of them that we need to intensify on a daily basis is their internationalism. Without internationalism, we and this movement of ours and this struggle of ours is nothing. And in celebrating their lives, I would say that it is the responsibility of all of us to intensify the struggle of the Palestinian people for national liberation, peace, democracy, and freedom. You will recall that Comrade Aubrey himself was very active in the Middle East. So in thanking the Nkomo clan, Ms. Barbara.
Excuse me, there's an emergency. Pumza Tuso, urgently needed outside. There's an emergency. Somebody's not well. Thanks. Pumza Tuso.
Thanks. I just want to say thank you to the Nkomo family, Mrs. Barbara, for giving me this opportunity to say these few words. And as we say, Hamba Gaslet to Comrade Aubrey, I want us always to have this image of this very dignified revolutionary, this very dignified freedom fighter, this very dignified human being. And if there's a quality that we lack today, it is that quality of being dignified. And in this moment of great stress, great difficulties, great challenges for this glorious movement of ours. We can only say that we only wish we had more Aubrey Nkomos and more Ahmed Kasradas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Pahat. The family has received many messages from different parts of the world. I am just going to read one, which reads as follows. To the family of Ambassador Aubrey Nkomo. Dear friends, I am writing on a personal level and also in my capacity as chairman of the Association of South African Former Ambassadors, High Commissioners, and Chief Representatives, to convey both my and the Association's heartfelt condolences on the distressing news of Ambassador Aubrey Nkomo's passing. He will be missed as a stalwart friend, associate, and diplomat who contributed greatly to developing a democratic South Africa, emphasized his later years through his ambassadorial role. His contribution to the founding plenary of ASAFA was greatly valued, and he will be fondly remembered by all. Sincerely, Ambassador George Nene. May I kindly ask Ms. Yanda Njona to come and read a message on behalf of the nieces and nephews.
Zingomo, Ndianibulisa. Good day to the former President, Thabo Mbeki, I am convinced that Nkomo took it upon himself to sharpen our minds. He would do so constantly, and you'd be amazed at how much fun you're having while appreciating that you are learning and gaining a personal perspective of historical events. No topic was off limits during our debates, and he would teach you how to carry an argument, that you must be logical in your argument. Nkomo, you're not thinking, he would say. He challenged you to think deeply and critically. During the many midnight conversations, you would literally feel your mind stretch. What an experience at 2 in the morning with a clean head. Not only did we enjoy this privilege, but also our friends. And Barbara and Aubrey loved hosting our friends because to them, the youth is the future, and they wanted a chance to see what is coming up. In addition to sharpening our minds, Nkomo ensured we're principled. Personally, he taught me to stick to my principles while being adaptable to the situation at hand, at the core remaining who you are. Get your values in check, Nkomo, he would say. He was not shy to deliver a tough message. From his guidance, we have all learned the values of hard work, dedication to one's family and skill, respect for all, kindness, generosity, and forgiveness. He always saw the positive in all of us and ensured to extract just that he saw. And oh wow, the person you would become. Do that which you say. Be a master of your craft. Through your deeds, Nkomo, give no one a chance to criticize you. These lessons he taught to us, and these words have been ringing in my head since his passing. Having said all that, the greatest gift he gave us is our aunt, Nosizwe Barbara. I have yet to know such strength, love, and laughter between her couple. They understood being a team. Together, you could never defeat them. Only time has defeated them for now. They would spend nights strategizing about the other's issues, or even one of our issues. What was her love or concern truly became his, and vice versa. We can, if we have not as yet, learn from that. True togetherness and being in one's corner, no matter what. Nkomo, we are proud that you returned to Mzansi to be with us, your family. We have personally gained from your presence, and we are deeply honored as abantwana bakho. Thank you for valuing us, guiding us, and just being there. But most of all, thank you for being so much fun. Thank you for being so protective of us, and thank you for bringing our family together. All that is left now is to remember you in all that we do, and to let you know you may be gone from this physical world, but you will never leave us. Uliqhawe emaqhaweni, you are personally my hero. Thank you.
Thank you, Nkomo. Can we get a chorus, please? The next messages will come from the following individuals: Dr. Boko Nkomo, Dr. Aubrey Nkomo, and Mr. Ivo Gerald Phillips. If you can come through one after another. Thanks.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I've been given strict rules to abide by. Number one, everybody for these 2 hours is equal. And the other one is from my sister-in-law. I must just stick to the 11 official languages and not use the 12th and the 13th. Now, I see here in the program, it's written that we are 5, 4 boys and 1 girl. But what is not written here is that our firstborn was born in 1924, and then the lastborn was born in 1946. So there's quite a big spread. So between and my brother, I still have to accept that he's late. The gap between us is 3.5 years. But the others, the gaps are 5 years, 7 years. Now, he always, up to his last day, he always taught me that he is my elder brother. I must listen to him. Now, this thing, I remember he has been ill for a long time. But each time he gets ill, he gets seriously ill. And at times, he played some games on us. Because one time, one of the sisters-in-law, who is a priest, this thing said a prayer, thinking that he is going. And then, when she had finished praying, he said, "Thank you very much." Now, well, I suffered a bit because of our relationship. That is why I had to live in all 4 provinces. Well, we did our tricks too as young people. When Castro got his LLD, we were doing JC then. In fact, what we did is to ban all our textbooks. So we went into the exams not having any textbooks. And another time, he used to be with Budzola or Brazil all the time. Now, he would meet me in the street and say, how much money do you have? Your cost of living is lower than mine. You don't smoke, you don't drink. So we'll take the money and divide it in half. Next time we meet, we put the money together, we divide it in half. This carried on until we got to varsity. Now, I won't use the 12th language, but if somebody annoys him, he'll say, I'll do something to you. Thanks. You see, I'm not a lecturer, you see. I deal with X's and B and C's and B's. Now, so, where was I? But, you're collecting money. So now we were at varsity at one time in Durban. Then you tell a guy who annoys him that I'll do something to you. That language I was told not to use. So then I'll do this, then teach will pay. So people thought that I'm paying. Whereas what used to, when we get our pocket money, we used to pull it together. And then, of course, you would have the majority share, seeing that this cost of living was higher than mine. Now, to sum up, when he got his first degree from the University of Natal, he got it posthumously. Now, the reason why they did that, they had to smuggle him out of the country. So basically, people had to know that he was dead. Thank you.
see it. Yeah. Very difficult to know how to start in a church. But I salute the leadership of the church. I must acknowledge our former president, Thabo Mbeki, and our former first lady, Zanele Mbeki. Barbara, our sister. Comrades and compatriots. We had a big problem at one time. That these salutations, and we were training somebody who had just arrived in Parliament, that your tongue will be up while you are doing all these salutations. It will sound like a broken record because it seems that there was some telepathic communication between my niece, who was just speaking here now, and me as we're penning some of these things. But probably it is because it tells you about the nature of the man. He was an open book, and so he lived a life that did not fool anyone. And so that is why seeing him, even through different prisms, we come to write almost the same thing. But I must say then, on behalf of the Nkomo clan, that he enjoins us all to celebrate the life and not to mourn the passing of Nkomoshe. Nkomoshe, that was his abiding and endearing salutation to all. Broer, stand ascent is your yam, Nkomoshe. All who have met him know these words. He loved life as he saw it in himself, and he loved life as he saw it in you. Your response in kind would be an instant invitation for him to wax into endless storytelling, reminiscent almost always of events similar to your current encounter. Somebody said he had a very good memory. He loved, lived, and enjoyed life abundantly. Always, always with this mischievous twinkle in the eye. I think you will remember that. For the unsuspecting young, this was a trip, a launching pad to delve into your life story. What are you about? What are your plans? What is your goal? What are you studying? And soon, this annoyingly inquisitive uncle would be your tutor, your mentor, and your oracle, as you have just heard. Thus was this burning desire to learn inculcated into these nieces and nephews. Late February, 2017, and mid-March, this same 2017, two of these nephews and nieces handed in their dissertations for the PhD at UCT and Wits, respectively. Yeah. Without a building nor an office, the Nkomoshe Academy of Learning was established. Nkomoshe was afflicted with an unquenchable thirst for learning and knowledge, which has now become endemic in the clan. In different circumstances, I might be tempted to say education was his first love, but you see, Barbara is here now. At this juncture, I must, on behalf of the clan,
say a word of deep gratitude to our dear beloved sister, Barbara, because their joint estate became the home of this Academy of Learning. No building, no offices, just the two of them. And their deep predisposition to teach. It is this academy which dragged, kicking and screaming, an 18-year-old nephew to the shores of America. They tutored, mentored, and sponsored this young lad in the States till he matured to become chief super specialist cardiologist and associate professor at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester in the United States. You will see him just now, he'll come here. This young man accompanied Barbara to be present at his uncle's final farewell. As fortune would have it, Nkomo lived to see and benefit from this young man's qualifications. As a specialist, Vesile was able to keep a hawk's eye on the treatment his uncle was receiving. Nkomo and Barbara did not pay lip service to the prize project of the century. This prize project, which one of our notable leaders has declared a quintessential in what he also refers to as the African century. I did not know he would be here, but he's here now. That project is development. If I may repeat, lest we forget, Barbara and Nkomo have beaten most of us to it. They have moved from word to action. They are luminaries with a goal and a vision, but they also know that you must have a program of action. There must be implementation. We have seen sparklingly brilliant exposés and papers written, visions, but they are not implemented. Maybe we can take a page out of the book of Barbara and Nkomo. So, in paying tribute to a role model, a tutor, and a servant of the people, the Nkomo clan hopes and prays that you, Barbara, should survive Nkomo for many a year, so that your light may shine and shines to reach the length and breadth of the continent. Be comforted, Barbara. The clan is with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next message is going to come from Mr. Ivor Gerald Phillips. The message is from the Blendman family. Please come through. After this particular message, the choir will sing the hymn Bulelani Kuyehova. It's a particular hymn which has been selected by Barbara Blendman, the wife of Aubrey Nkomo.
Good afternoon to all, to members of the clergy, ladies and gentlemen. It was the year 1981 when the Nkomo family, represented by the late Mr. Victor Scrip and Chana, approached our family to indicate the desire of Aubrey to marry our daughter, Barbara. The Nkomo family proposed payment of lobola, a new concept for us. The family was insistent on lobola and cited the reasons therefore. We were persuaded as we came to understand the cultural value of this tradition, it was accordingly agreed with a twist that Aubrey would make a substantial contribution to the Rector's discretionary fund at St. Margaret's Anglican Church in Trinidad and Tobago, Barbara's home church. To be utilized for the school children's feeding program and the church's pantry for the needy. We were always moved by Aubrey's demeanor, bearing, thoughtfulness, integrity, and loving care for Barbara. Throughout their marriage, when professional and other commitments and later illnesses forced them to be physically apart, they were never separated emotionally and spiritually. Just an aside, every time I called and I asked, "How is Aubrey?" I just finished speaking to him. They constantly communicated several times in the day, utilizing all available media. There is nothing greater than to love and have that love reciprocated. Barbara and Aubrey were truly committed to each other. We found Aubrey to lead an exemplary and generous life. Despite health concerns progressively affecting the quality of his life, he maintained a positive and cheerful outlook, which could well be emulated by others facing such an enormous challenge. Without fear of contradiction, we can assert that Aubrey fought the good fight. We have traveled to South Africa not to mourn his passing, but to celebrate with the Nkomo clan the life and legacy of this great man, one in whose footsteps we can hope that others might follow. Aubrey was the love of Barbara's life. Our family embraced him warmly and without reservation. We admired his courage. We extend deepest condolences to the Nkomos. We shall miss him dearly. He will forever remain in our hearts as we look to the future when Christ returns and families are reunited. I thank you.
Monani, my aunt, Barbara Blenman, has asked me to read the following message on her behalf. Members of the clergy, former President Thabo Mbeki and Mrs. Mbeki, friends and family. It is with deep sadness that I come to terms today with the loss of the love of my life, Aubrey Nkomo. Aubrey and I met at the United Nations, where we were both staff members. I had seen him in passing, but it was on Thanksgiving Day, 1979, when coincidentally we were both on duty at the Secretariat on that special American holiday. We met at a vending machine and acknowledged each other. I returned to the vending machine an hour later, and to my great surprise, came across him again. That evoked chuckles from both of us. Strangely, I made a third trip to the vending machine lo and behold, there he was. We joined in laughter. I returned to my office, and shortly thereafter there was a knock on the door. The visitor was Aubrey. He introduced himself and asked me whether I would consider walking out with him. I suggested that he ask me again at a later date. I observed a look of hurt in his eyes, and I knew that he never would. He left my office, and I quickly consulted the telephone directory to locate his office. On entering the room, I was met with a distinctly hostile look. I assured him that I was not being difficult, but would really like him to ask me again at a future date. He never did, but he would occasionally invite me to lunch and once to dinner at his home, where he set a beautiful table with a centerpiece of daisies and lit candles floating in water. He was a good cook and presented an enjoyable meal. A month later, on New Year's Eve, he informed me over the telephone that he intended to make important decisions about his life at 6 p.m. that day. I responded, "Do nothing. I'm on my way." He loved to share this particular detail. It was a turning point in our lives. My father met Aubrey the following year and indicated his strong approval. Aubrey and I were married in July 1981. He granted me the privilege of keeping my maiden name, Barbara Blenman, for professional reasons. I was welcomed into the Nkomo family in 2 stages, the first in Lesotho in 1984, where I was given the names Nosizwe, Masechaba, Lobola having been paid, and the second stage took place in 1992. Aubrey and I were mutually supportive in all our undertakings. Nkomoshe was resolute and very brave. And his courage evoked the admiration of many. From an early age, he had been socialized in the warrior tradition by his uncle in Cape Town. At the age of 7, Nkomoshe developed the habits of attending funerals of persons he did not know. The first time, panic ensued at his home as his family did not know where he was. On his return, when asked where he had been, he explained that while he did not know the deceased, there were so few people in attendance that he felt sorry for the deceased and decided to join the small cortege. I consider that singular act harbinger of the trajectory his life would follow. He had a heightened sense of fairness and inclusivity for all people. He was a highly cultivated man, always a teacher. Nkomo had a great passion for education and intellectual pursuits. As an academic, he was always supportive of those students who were ready to apply their mind to their studies. Remarkably, as assistant to the president of one of the universities where he worked, he developed a program entitled Upward Bound for 25 young students, many of whom had been recruited from the streets by him and a colleague. In convincing them to enroll at the university, he assured them of his support. All 25 graduated with bachelor's degrees. Several of them went on to do graduate studies. One became a judge, another a senator, others counselors in different fields and MBAs. They considered him to be a friend and one was his best man when we married. They honored him on 2 occasions and were planning to do so on a third 2 years ago, but regrettably, he was too ill to travel. Nkomo was committed to the education and uplifting of the youth of South Africa. In the words of W.H. Auden, Nkomo was my north, my south, my east, and west, my working week, and my Sunday rest, my noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. He was always a kid at heart and radiated an aura of vitality. He walked as though he was hearing music in his head. To paraphrase the words of Bob Dylan in his song Forever Young, Nkomo built a ladder to the stars. He grew up to be righteous. He grew up to be true. He always knew the truth and saw the lights surrounding him. He was always courageous. He stood upright and strong. He was forever young. Nkomo was truly free and faithful to principle. He had a lifelong commitment to the African National Congress. On the night before his passing, Nkomo told me he felt on top of the world. It was with great shock that I received the news around 7:30 a.m. South African time that he had been taken by ambulance to the emergency room. Around 10:30 a.m., his phone was placed next to his ear so that he could hear my voice. He had not spoken that day, but managed to say to me, "I love you." They were his last words. I look to the morning when we will be together once more, my love. Nkomo was my best friend. I shall miss him greatly. Faithful to his family's creed, it behooves me to forge ahead and be strong. Warmed by precious memories of our special, unbreakable bond and a mutually rewarding life. Alala Nkomo, Mtungwa, Yengwayo, Malinga, Masikane, Kolela, Makachana, Special Wanganangubo, Ntabeni. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sis Barbara, and thank you very much, Vuisile. Just in brief, Vuisile is a renowned physician who is with the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. The order now is to ask Mr. Mpumelelo Rodrigue to come and give a vote of thanks. And after that, we'll have the reading of the obituary. When the reading of the obituary takes place, could we all rise?
Kubefundisi obishop wakhoya ngaphakathi former President Thabo Mbeki, Mama Zanele, abakhoya ngaphakathi usapho lwakwaNkomo, usapho lwamazizi, molweni Torhwana. Nkomosha was known by many friends and colleagues from more than 3 continents. Therefore, I thank you is bound to be a long list of people. Please bear with me as I go through and name some of the person who all had a hand in making his journey onwards a safe one. The family wishes to thank everyone for your thoughtful messages. And also the family wishes to thank those who came far and wide from South Africa and beyond for their moving messages. At the outset, we wish to thank all the priests who dropped everything to be with us and carry us through this sorrowful moment. We thank you for your prayers and support during the past week. We thank the people who supported us at the house, who made food and quenched our thirst, dried our tears during these days of mournful attendance. We thank the nursing staff who were at the back and called whenever we needed them. A huge gratitude goes to St. Michael's Anglican Church and Reverend Linda Swartz, who opened their arms and embraced us in our hour of need. We humbly request, as the Xhosa say, to always be with us and carry us on your wings of prayer. We thank every person who is here with us today, who dropped everything in their busy lives to be with us. Our weighty sorrow is made easier by your presence. Lastly, but not least, we thank Dove's Funeral Services for their wonderful efficiency, their humble service and attitudes. Their constant support has made this hefty task easier to bear. We must also thank the former President Thabo Mbeki, and Mama Zanele Mbeki, and other dignitaries who have shown their love and support for the Nkomo family, specifically and notably the Department of Internal International Relations and Cooperation, UDECO, for their wonderful service that they hosted for one of their own. Aubrey Nkomo, to all these persons, we wish to say, Nangamso, ukwanda kwaliwa ngumthakathi. Do what you have done for us, for others as well. Ngomoshe and Barbara Nkomo, but thank you. Thank you very much for opening your arms and embrace all Nkomo members who went abroad and other South Africans who also knocked at your door in the US. Ogolela are saying, that's why you were called Unosizwe. We can see that now. Oyengwayo, ozizi bati enkosi. We thank you, Makoti. We thank you, and Barbara. Ifamily yakwankomo, mhlawumbi nabanye South Africans. Proverbs 26, verse 20. It's a verse, without wood, the fire goes out. Imizekeliso 26, verse 20. Uthi, zawuphela inkuni, uyacima umlilo. Andithethi ke ngeenkuni zamaplanga, Nkomo. Andithethi ngeenkuni zomthi webanana. Andithethi ngomlilo wamaphepha. Sithetha ngeenkuni ezithi xa zibasiwe wonke umuntu will come nearer, afudumale evubushushu. A challenge ba uNkomo Shomkhulu yokokuba onkomo bahlangane, as you have said, you are busy for abantwana abancinci, so that inkuni enizawufaka ibe zinkuni ezinjengobhuti Aubrey, abantu bebengenaxesha lawujika kule nto babhiliva kuyo. Kalo mazwi sithi singontungo yengwayo, ogolela ontabeni, omagajana, omasikana, omalinga, omarhuberhu, ifemele kwejama osijadu, ofakathi ungqondo noboya. Sithi hamba kahle, BS, hamba kahle, phakathi, hamba kahle, ncinci.
Musa, please come forward for the obituary. And after the obituary, we hand over to the church for the Requiem Mass.
The obituary of Aubrey Nkomo. Aubrey Nkomo was born in Uitenhage in the Eastern Cape on the 25th of March 1936. He was the son of Stephen Dumezwe Nkomo and Virginia Cigizwa Nkomo Umadlamini. He was the third born in the family of 4 boys and 1 girl. His maternal grandfather was an interpreter in 14 languages, namely Afrikaans, German, English, Talbond, and a variety of African languages, including Sepedi, Sesotho, isiMpondo, isiHlubi, isiXhosa, isiZulu, isiNdebele, isiNyanja. Aubrey inherited his wonderful intellectual ability from the grandfather. Hence, he excelled in his studies at universities in South Africa, the United Kingdom, Italy, and the United States of America. Nkomo strongly believed in the ideas espoused by Booker T. Washington, the founder of Tuskegee Institute, now known as Tuskegee University. At an early age, he was also exposed to the ideas of Dr. James E. K. Aubrey of Ghana, otherwise known as Aubrey of Africa. He joined the African National Congress at the age of 14 in June 1950 and committed his life to the aspirations articulated by the organization. Hence, from home, and later in exile in the United Kingdom, in the United States, he fought for the ideals and the realization of a democratic South Africa, the creation of a free and non-racial country driven by principles of equality and the Bill of Rights. These ideas fostered in him a balanced view of all South Africans. Thus, he will always look for the positive in each and every South African. He was South Africa's ambassador to Argentina, a non-resident ambassador to Paraguay and Uruguay from March 1997 to June 2001. From 2000 to 2001, he was Dean of the African Diplomatic Corps in Argentina. Prior to his appointment as ambassador, he was senior advisor to Mr. Alfred Nzo, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of South Africa in the period 1995 to 1997. The appointment of Aubrey to this important post was due to his outstanding knowledge in economics, international relations, and his experience at the United Nations. Upon completion of his term as ambassador in Argentina, he served as ambassador in residence, mentorship and training at the Diplomatic Academy of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation with the rank of Chief Director. In this capacity, he is credited with introducing the study of economic diplomacy. He trained diplomats at the Diplomatic Academy at various levels and was a mentor to many cadets. From 2005 to 2007, he was a consultant with the Department of Communications in the field of international relations. He served as non-executive director of Seaview Partners, as well as New GX Capital. On the 1st of August 2012, he eloquently addressed Absa Bank on the path of success for South Africa. He was a member of the Secretariat of the United Nations in New York from 1978 to 1995, where he was a political affairs officer and liaison officer in the Department of Political Affairs, with the responsibility in the field of international peace and security, and the Middle East in particular. He carried out United Nations assignment in all regions of the world in fulfillment of his various responsibilities. In 1977, he was a consultant with the Center Against Apartheid in the Department of Political and Security Affairs of the United Nations Secretariat. His work experience in the United States included administrative and teaching assignments at various universities and colleges. From 1969 to 1973, he was director of the Black Studies program, now Africana Studies, at Bloomfield College in New Jersey, and advisor to the president of the college on minority affairs and affirmative action. He also had responsibility for the department's multicultural studies curriculum development. He designed and taught courses on comparative African government and politics, the politics and economies of Southern Africa, and urban studies. From 1969 to 1976, Ambassador Nkomo held adjunct professorships at Boston College, Massachusetts, where he taught courses on the politics and economies of Southern Africa and comparative African government, and at Herbert H. Lehman College at the City University of New York, where he taught and conducted seminars on urban politics and multicultural education. From 1965 to 1967, he served as a research assistant on local government issues with the Greater London Council in the borough of Wandsworth in the United Kingdom. His academic preparation was obtained at Fort Hare University College, now Fort Hare, from 1957 to 1959, from which he was expelled for political activity on behalf of the ANC Youth League. He proceeded to study at the University of Natal in Durban from 1960 to 1961, where he obtained a BA degree in politics, psychology, and economics. He received a BA honors degree in political economy and international relations from the University of Reading in Berks in the United Kingdom from 1962 to 1964. He undertook further graduate studies in economics, economic thought, political science, and public administration at the Maxwell School of Public Affairs and Citizenship at Syracuse University in New York from the period of 1967 to 1968. And at MIT Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the United States from 1973 to 1975. Aubrey Nkomo was the recipient of a number of academic awards. He was a South African scholar at the University of Reading in 1962 to 1965, and a UN URI Fellow at the University of Rome in Italy in 1962, where he studied Italian government and politics since the fall of Mussolini and the Italian economic reconstruction since the World War II. In 1964, as a Fulbright Fellow, he received the US State Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs Travel and Study Grant to monitor and observe and critique the implementation of the United States civil rights legislation. He received the United States State Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs grant to study at Syracuse University in the period of 1967 to 1968. He is survived by his wife, Barbara Nosizwe Blandman, a brother, a sister, nieces, nephews, and the Nkomo clan. Lala ngoxolo Nkomoshe, Mtungwa, Yengwayo, Malinga, Masikane, Kolela, Magajana, Speshwa Ngubo, Ntabeni.